Okay, shield your ears. Something's wrong with the starter on my welding machine, so today I'm gonna hoist this thing off here and change out the starter. I'm also going to be sharing with you where I got these cloth doors that are on my welding machine, and then later in the video we're going to head to the scrap yard to get rid of the scrap that I've accumulated over the last year or so. And then near the end of this video I'm actually going to share with you what I got to thinking about on my way back from the scrap yard pertaining to business, business distractions and whatnot. One of my goals here on the channel is to help you live a better quality of life just by way of what I learn in my own life and through trying to build a welding business, building an online business, and just in hopes that it helps you in any form or fashion. So stick around for that if you're interested in my thought process. My thought processes that I share, that I allow myself to share here on YouTube, are accumulation of things that I'm constantly learning. So just because I say something like in this video, I may very well learn something, a month from now that kind of changes or is different than what I learned previously. So in my opinion, that's just part of growing and challenging yourself, especially when it comes to running a business. But the ultimate goal is to help you in some form or fashion just by sharing what I learn through my process of building a welding business and the online business that we're building. Anyway, thanks for being here. Enjoy the video. Almost forgot a very important part. I was so excited to hoist this thing off here, I forgot to undo my welding leads. Now I could use my buddy's tractor, but what I learned in last week's video, if you didn't see it, is it bleeds off real bad. For two, this A-frame's nice when you're working by yourself. A lot less likely to bang anything up. Plus, we're getting our exercise for the day. Come on. Now this plate that I have sitting on top of my rolly cart that I built for that welding bed that we built on the channel, if you remember, if you haven't seen it, hopefully you'll go check out those videos of us building that welding bed for a new Ford. But so I normally wouldn't leave this plate on top of my rolly cart, like it's not tacked on here or anything. I have it up here just so I can move it around. It's just some 3/16 plate, good to have, to cut stuff out of or whatever. But rather than removing it, I'm just going to use it for an extra workbench. All this extra space right here, I'll be able to lay my tools and whatnot whenever I go to pull off this starter, which is right here. I got these cloth doors at customskirting.com. They make skirting for RVs, campers and stuff, but they also made these. I assume they still do. But I like the cloth doors because they are easier to access whenever this welding machine is on the back of my pickup here. It's easier to access. The stock doors that come with these welding machines, you got to pull these pins. If you don't have room to hinge it up, if you have room to hinge it up, you don't have to pull these pins. But if you don't have room, you got to pull these pins, and then you got to set the door somewhere. Versus here, I just flop them up. Use these two magnets that I keep right here to hold the door open, and then I go to town turning wrenches. A starter is a fairly simple ordeal to replace, and I usually like to pull it off before I go get a new one. That way I can turn this in for as a core charge. Those of you that don't know what that is, that just means you get some money for some parts. Some parts have a core charge because a lot of times places will rebuild things like alternators and starters and whatnot. So I'll pull it off here, and it's just 1, 2 bolts, and then take in all these wires off. A total of 3 wires, I believe. These 2, and then this big one that goes to the battery. Actually, before I start, I'm gonna pull this thing in here because my tools are right there, and there's a chance of rain. So I'm gonna go ahead and wheel this in the shop here. It's one of the things I love about having all these carts. You know, a lot of things on wheels with a small shop has been very beneficial to me. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby, baby. All right. Sheesh. Holy cannoli, roly poly. And we're actually going to turn it towards the light, the natural light over here. Okay. Whew. All right. Now we need some wrenches. I'm pretty certain you don't want to connect these 2 poles. In other words, take a piece of metal and touch them together like a screwdriver or your wrench, because all these wires are connected to the battery, and that'll make a spark. Also, what I need to do is remember which wire goes where. So the bigger one goes on bottom. Let's just take this soapstone and write that down. Bigger, bottom. A lot of times I'd take a picture of this too to be sure, but okay. Now, just these 2. My old workbench is kind of in my way here. I didn't think that all the way through. I could have flipped this over to where this was over here. Anyway, just being critical. Super grateful for this cart. There it is. There's your starter. Wilson. All right, now we head to the parts store. But before we do, this here was the original starter that went on this machine, and I can't remember why. For some reason I have in my head that it still worked or something. So all that to say is I can't remember why I didn't take it back for the core charge or whatever. But see, this is the box that one came in. So I'm tempted to put this one on, is what I'm saying, and see if it works. Because there's a reason I saved it, and I feel like it was because it still worked. Well, one way to find out, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bolt her up. Okay, so bigger on bottom, except this one's oriented a little different. It's a good thing I'm filming. I might have to look at that footage that I just filmed. All right, it's a good thing about filming your projects is you just reference your footage. Okay, so this is considered my bottom on this starter. And so this will go here, this will go here, and this thing goes on. I might have to put a different connector on there because it goes over yonder. I need an alligator clamp, so I ain't got to pull that all the way off because I might need this for the new starter. Let's try to find an alligator clamp, boys. Found one. Rink, 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 rink. I'm gonna just clamp that guy like so. And we're gonna see what happens. Well, why in the world did I change that starter then? Sounds like it's working just fine. I knew there was a reason I saved it, I just don't remember why. I knew there was a reason I changed it too. It was probably something like I wasn't sure what was wrong with my machine, so I ended up changing the starter, and that wasn't the problem or something. But it's hard for me to believe that scenario right now because it's usually pretty self-explanatory. The starter, or maybe it was weak or something. Maybe it was the battery that was the problem, not the starter last time. I don't know. All I know is I'm gonna run this starter for a little bit rather than going to the parts store just to kind of see what's going on. Now that this is fixed, it's time to head to the scrap yard. I've got some scrap because all the cleaning I've been doing, if you didn't see last week's video, and I gotta run this scrap bin to the scrap yard. So I'm gonna put a new end on this wire. That way I don't have to have an alligator clip. Bolt it to that bolt, and then put this away, and I don't know, put a note on this or something. Possibly take it back and get an extra one, so I'll have it later. That's probably what I should do, probably, because that's junk and I want to get a cord charge for it. So I might just go buy a new one and have an extra one, because the starter's I don't know if common problem is the thing, but I've worked with a couple of older guys that carried extra starters for their SA200. This is an SAE, but diesel, and a 200 is a gas machine. But those of you that have been following Andy, my welding partner in Ohio, on the last pipeline job I worked, he still ran an SA200, and he carried a new starter, and I forget a couple other things for his 200. So it's not a bad idea to carry certain parts like a starter. So since this one's messed up, I might as well go get a new one, turn this in for the cord charge, get the money, and have a new one here at the shop in case this starter finally does go out, since I can't remember what exactly was the issue. But whenever it does finally go out, I'll have one on the shelf. Yeah, just common maintenance. Good practices to have extra parts sitting around, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you're not in a bind, and a lot of times part stores may not have what you need that exact day. So especially in my situation where I don't have an extra welding machine, but I will have soon, because I want to put together another welding truck. That's a whole nother story in itself. But when you just have one welding machine, it's all the more important to have extra parts sitting on the shelf. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all this back together, and then we'll head to the scrap yard. Here's my handy dandy workbench coming in handy. So I need to find something like this that'll go around. I'd prefer to have something like this. I like the heat shrink mess. This is a little big, but it'll technically work. I need to get some more assortments. I don't do a whole lot of electricity work or whatever wiring work, because normally when I mess with this stuff, I just make it way worse. So unless it's really simple like this, you won't catch me fooling with all that other. You just won't. Or you might, but you might also watch me make all kinds of, make a smaller problem a little bigger. So we're gonna clip this off here, strip it, twist it, poke it in there, crimp it, clip it, strip it, twist it, poke it, and crimp it. This connector is also a little bit big for our wire. It's one of the reasons I like the heat shrink though, because a little extra security. Come on. Pretty sure this is a culinary thing. It's not even a proper heat shrink deal. But they make little heat guns that don't actually throw a flame. It puts like a lot of heat, enough heat to shrink this stuff. That's what I need to get. There's a proper heat shrink gun. But this works, and this is my butane fuel that goes in it. Just same thing for Zippo lighter. All right, now put that on there. Put our little nut on here. Find us a wrench that fits. Put all my tools away. Find us a wrench that fits first, because my luck, I'll forget. I'll get all this put away and I'll forget to tighten this. So I've learned that rule over the years of my life experience. Let's try a 10. Is that a 10? It's a 10. Good job, Ross. Good guess, brother man. Okay, snug that up decent. You bet. You bet, boys. We're in good shape. Everything's snugged up. Welding machine started. Put all this away, and then head to the scrapyard. Get a sip of coffee, and then head to the scrapyard. Cheers. My radio ain't working in my pickup, so therefore the screen ain't working. Radio ain't working and the screen, so therefore I don't have a backup camera right now. Had to do it the old school way. Lastly, we'll just strap this water heater down and ease on down the road. Here, catch. Hook her onto the old fender. How's it going? Austin Ross. Thank you. Thank you. All right, now that we got everything unloaded, time to go in here and collect the dough. Come on. All right, just pulled back up to the house. We got $144.25 from taking scrap. And it looks like the short iron, I had two different commodities. Short iron and tin, it looks like the short iron got $175 a ton, and the tin got $100 a net ton. Once again, it feels good to be cleaning up the scrap and get rid of the scrap that we go through having a welding business, and just cleaning up in general. One thing I thought of on my drive home was how scrap can sometimes be that distraction in a business, at a certain point in your business anyway, because there's a lot of opportunity in scrap, but at a certain time in your business that can be distracting. Like you can spend too much time on the scrap part of your business whenever you need to be focusing more on like whatever you do best in your business. I always use the example of pipe fence or whatever, but like, you know, if you need to be focusing on getting more pipe fence work, you know, to create the actual income, but you're focused on, you know, trying to get your scrap iron into the short scrap iron bin, that way it's worth more or whatever, versus using me as an example, I only take scrap iron like once a year probably. And it's $144, you know, so that throughout a whole year is not much at all, you know. That's why for me right now in my business, I'm just focused on keeping stuff cleaned up. You know, running a business, the way I kind of think of it sometimes is like as a business owner, you're like an orchestrator, orchestrating like a lot of different things, you know. When you're leading a business, it takes a lot of attention just to run one aspect of your business. And in our case personally, we've got the online business, so the YouTube videos that you're watching right now, the online store that we have, and then the service base, you know. So it's not worth it until we get a little bit more help to start maximizing the scrap side of things. Plus, again, since we don't do as much service-based stuff, you know, there's not that much scrap to tend to on the daily. But once the service base starts picking up and we got a lot more scrap that's running through, then it would be worth it to maybe start initiating time for employees, or, you know, initiate a whole meeting, if you will, to like think about systems to put in place and things to build to keep stuff organized, and, you know, start implementing more organization when it comes to scrap and iron and whatnot. But all that to say is, I'm just sharing what I'm learning and my thought process as I'm learning when it comes to running a business. And I just wanted to point out that there's a time in your business where it makes more sense to focus on maximizing the opportunity in scrap, for instance. But starting out, that may not be the time. It may be for you, but everybody's business is different. And it's just, I guess if I've learned anything over the years, and that I would share, and that I've shared before, is that it pays off to focus as much as possible, you know, focusing on one part of your business as much as possible and maximize that main opportunity to get it going, you know, get it sustainable by way of delegation and whatnot. And then once it's going and you can and you don't have to be there as much, you as an individual owner or whatever, then you can start as a business owner by way of delegating and getting a branch of your business going good. It can run more on its own, and then you can start, you know, going in a different direction yourself to start building out a different branch of your business, if you will, or a different aspect of your business, you know. So, but you got to do it. I don't have this all figured out, but I just try to share what I learn and share what's in my head half the time, so, in hopes that it helps. So just one at a time, you know what I mean? Focus on, like us, you know, we focused on the online stuff, we focused on the store, and we're still focused on that, trying to get the online part built out and the online store built out. We still have a lot of delegating to do. That's where we're at personally in our business. We have not been doing as much service base. We're still doing service base, but not as much, so we can focus more on the online store and the YouTube channels and the online courses, YouTube channel and the online courses, you know, get those going on their own a little more, get a couple, you know, delegate a couple more things that we haven't done yet to get it going a little more smoother on its own. And then I can start focusing more on the service-based stuff and so on and so forth. So just a matter of decisions and where you keep your focus. So hope that was helpful. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something about changing a starter on a welding machine or about anything else. So have an awesome weekend, and remember, learn something every day.